Whoa, Pepper upload jump scare on the Yu-Gi-Oh channel. It's been a while. Have not been playing Yu-Gi-Oh lately. I've been playing Alestrals, which I have an Alestrals channel. You should go check that out if you're interested. But I heard today we got brand new Exosister support. And when I heard that, I thought maybe it's time for Exo Step Bro to come out of retirement. Because this card is crazy. It doesn't have artwork yet, but this card is called Exo Sayori Hime. It's another spirit card. And if you know anything about Exosister, you know that they played the Aratama Sakitama engine, because Aratama was another one-card starter for the deck. Now, Sakitama was the extender you searched off of it, but this card is an upgrade to Sakitama, and it does so much for this deck. So what does it actually do? Well, it cannot be special summoned. Once per turn during the end phase, if it was normal summon, blah blah blah, return to the hand. But the main thing, if you control a monster with 800 attack or defense, and this card is in your hand, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon this card. So that's the same effect as Sakitama, with a little condition, but Aratama has 800 attack. Every single Exosister has 800 defense, including things like Caspatel. Caspatel having 800 does come up sometimes. This card's always going to be live unless you drew this plus 5 Handtraps or something. Now, the second effect that makes it better than Sakitama is that if it's normal summoned, you can add a level 4 light or dark monster with 800 attack or defense from your deck to your hand except itself. Now, like I just explained, all of these have 800 defense, which means this card searches any Exosister monster in your deck. And that is crazy, because now we have more ways to get to Martha. We have more ways to get to Ellis, which is an extender. More ways to get to Sophia, which if you already have combos, gets you a free draw. So this card does so much, and it's searchable off of Aratama. So you can go Aratama into Sayori, Sayori search Martha, and then now you have Martha and an Xyz monster without you even having to use Caspatel's effect. So this card's crazy, and we'll start getting into the combos here and show you all the things it can do. So here is the new one-card combo with our Aratama. We're going to normal summon this out. We're going to grab our Sayori. We're going to activate Sayori to normal summon, and effect to grab Martha. So now we're going to make Caspatel. So Sayori puts your opponent in a really bad spot where they have to have 2 hand traps in order to stop your plays, right? If they negate the Sayori, you don't get the Martha. But you can just overlay into Caspatel, and then Caspatel gets your Martha. So now you have 2 different ways to access Martha within your engine, which is great because Martha is obviously just the best card in the deck. So it makes it so that this, starting with Aratama, no longer just loses to a singular hand trap, right? But our end board actually gets a little bit better here. So we're going to use Caspatel. We're going to search for Ellis. We're going to now activate Martha to summon itself and the Ellis. And we're going to use this effect to summon from hand. Now this new card does not stop the deck from getting Nibiru'd. This deck will always lose to Nibiru. That's just how it's going to be. So now we have all these monsters on board. We're going to use these 2 to make Michaelis. Michaelis is going to get access to our trap card of choice, which I usually like to get Returnia. If you want to play around Nibiru, you should get Vadis. But we're going to make these 2 into Magnifica, and we can set Returnia. To the untrained eye, does not look any different from a normal Exosister end board. But there is one difference, and that one difference is that this Martha is just chillin' here. So the Aratama combos of the past, and most Exosister combos of the past, usually just ended on Magnifica and Returnia, with 3 cards in hand, usually, you know, hopefully Handtraps. And this is 2 banishes, and this is 2 banishes. So, you know, 4 interruptions, plus 3 Handtraps maybe. But what this Martha does, if a card moves out of either graveyard, you can special summon from your extra deck 1 Exosister Xyz monster using this card you control as material. So this card being on board gives you 1 additional piece of interaction that the deck did not have consistent access to in the past. So the options for this, so if your opponent touches their graveyard, or if you banish a card out of their graveyard with Michaelis or Returnia, it triggers Martha to Xyz. So our first option is to go into a Caspitel, which makes it so that our opponent cannot special summon from the graveyard for the rest of the turn. Our second option is a Sophiel, which is Abyss Dweller. It makes it so that our opponent cannot activate card effects in the graveyard this turn. And our final option is Jabreen, which can target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects. So typically you would just end on, you know, Magnifica Returnia, but Martha being on board means that you can now consistently tag out the Magnifica into Michaelis for the banish, and then you can use this leftover Martha to go into either your floodgates or your effect negation. So it gives the deck that 1 extra little push on the end board that could mean a lot, because you could tag out Magnifica into the Caspitel to get the effect, but then you lose out on Michaelis banish. But now you just get everything, right? You get the 4 banishes and you get the floodgate. So just that 1 extra card gives you that little push you need to make your end board even stronger. Now another thing is that Martha and Aratama are your only 1 card starters. And the deck does have a lot of 2-card combos with, you know, normal summon an Exosister, special summon Ellis, or, you know, Stella summon something from hand. But sometimes you do get those absolute stinker hands where you're going to end up with something like an Irene, and in the past this would be Sakitama, but now it's the Sayori, which is way better. So if you get a stinker hand like this, what you can do is normal summon out this Irene, use Hime to summon out. Now, in the past, you would make Caspitel here, and if Caspitel got impermed, you lose. But now, if your opponent just has an imperm, and that's their only hand trap, if they imperm the Hime, you don't get the Martha here, but, like I said, you can just make Caspitel, and then that gets you Martha, which gets you to your full end board. So it makes the stinker hands actually really good. So we're going to use Caspitel, we're going to add the Ellis here, and then we're just going to do the same exact thing that we did last time. Go through all the motions, and we get to end on our Magnifica, Returnia, and we get to keep this Martha on field to go into one of our floodgates on our opponent's turn. Now the final thing I wanted to show was how this card helps you play through Ash Blossom on your Martha. You know, before this card, if your Martha got ashed, you had to have like Martha normal summon, either Ellis or Sakitama as an extender, and then you needed either 1 or 2 more extenders to get to the full end board, which was really bad. So getting ashed or impulsed on Martha was kind of a death sentence for this deck in most hands. But now, if you draw Martha plus Sayori, you have insane combo potential even through Ash. You're going to have to take some creative liberties with this hand here. So Alright, so I'm using Delinquent Duo to put a card in our opponent's graveyard to simulate that our Martha got like ashed or impulsed or something. So our opponent has to have a card in graveyard. If Martha got negated, what we can do is normal summon it out, and then we can activate the Hime to summon. We can then Hime effect to grab Elise. We can go ahead and summon out, and then overlay these two into a Michaelis. Now what Michaelis is going to do, we're going to grab our trap card of choice, and then we're going to use its second effect, where, let's see, if you control this card that was Exi summoned this turn by using an Exosister monster as material, you can target a card in your opponent controls or in their graveyard and banish it. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Michaelis. We're going to banish the hand trap that they used on you. And what this does is that it triggers Martha because a card left our opponent's graveyard. And now this goes up into Caspatel. Now Caspatel can search another Martha for follow-up on next turn. And then we can end on Magnifica plus a trap card. So you end on the full board through Martha getting negated, just because you have this one card in hand. And something like this was never possible before, and it's absolutely insane what this card does. It makes the deck so much more consistent, so much more resilient to hand traps. And another thing I noticed while just doing test hands was this card being able to search so much of your monster lineup. It now makes it so that if you draw packs with your engine, you can use packs to search the second trap card that you have in your deck, right? So where is the deck here? So if you already have access to the full engine, using your Marthas, your cards, blah, 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 using Sayori, any packs in hand is now much more free to grab a Vadis. So if you searched Returnia off of your Michaelis, you can now use the packs to grab Vadis. Normally if you get hand trapped, you're using packs to search for an extender, or you're using it to search for your Martha. But this card searches all of that for you. So now packs can just grab your traps, and it makes your inboard so much stronger having both of these trap cards. So all in all, this card is absolutely insane for this deck. The deck still loses to Nibiru. It's still not great against Molcharmies. It's not great against Droll. That's the format, baby. That's the format. Charmies, Nibiru, and Droll. Sounds like fun. Can you tell why I haven't been playing this game lately? But yeah, this card's sick. I'm excited for it. Exo Step Bro is about to come out of retirement. Alright, see ya.